Hi everyone, my name is Dariana Everett. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, artist, and RAC grad. Today we have a really fun series that we're doing. It's a mini series with room for expansion if things go well. They might not. Building your own gear. We are going to go over what you need to build your first audio project. Let's go. You'll need a soldering iron. So a soldering iron heats up, and usually you can change the temperature. It has alternate tips that go along with it, which you will need depending on what you're trying to solder. So next thing you'll need on the list is a multimeter. So this allows you to check the connectivity between different solders. If there's any sort of problem, if there's an overload, it allows you to test your circuit. So there's lots of different knobs and things. We're not going to go over all of them because actually it doesn't make sense to at all right now because we have a very short amount of time to go over all the things you need. But you will need one of these. They're important. Get one. You will also need like an air compression sucker. They come in the kit. They basically allow you to suck up any extra solder as you're going. So it might not seem entirely important right now, but they are definitely necessary. Other thing you will need is solder. So this comes in many different forms and many different sizes. So the gauge is the size of the solder, as well as you can have different types of solder. You can have non-leaded solder, partially leaded. I would suggest and have been YouTube suggested to use what is called a rosin or flux core, and this just means it has a little bit of flux on the inside, which is the other thing you're gonna need. So you are going to need flux, which is basically a material, either like a liquid or a paste that you'd put on the electrical board and or different joints that you're about to solder that help the solder adhere to the different components. So next thing you'll need is alcohol. Alcohol is really important because this will allow you to clean up your circuit board after you've made your soldering joints. You will need some helping hands. And although we think it's like having a cute little set of like extra people helping or a cute little like, I don't know, magical gnomies that will come and be like, I hold this for you, there is actually a little contraption that looks like this, with like a little magnifying glass, and sometimes you can have a lamp or whatever. They have little alligator clamps. They're great and they're necessary, I'd say, when working with circuit boards that you have to be able to get on top of and underneath, which is, I would imagine, a lot of the projects that you'd be doing with a circuit board. The one I got is actually really helpful because it has a magnifying glass that also has a light. So if you don't have this, you have to make sure you have a very good light source so you can really see what you're doing. And the magnifying glass really does help because you are working with very small components at times. The tip tinner. At the end of when you're working, you dip it into this substance and it keeps your tip basically new. So it's a way of really being able to take care of your soldering iron. The next thing you will need is a metal tip cleaner. Kind of looks like a copper wire sponge type thing. Basically that, you go in and you scrape it. Once you're done, poke it in the metal cleaning sponge and it'll remove the different things. After that, you will also need a wet sponge you can gently wipe off after you've made some soldering joints. So both of those are useful tools. Sometimes you can just have the wet sponge, sometimes you can just have the metal. I, in my experience, have used both depending on what the situation was. Did I have just a teensy bit of solder left on the tip of my soldering iron? Did I have more? Did I really want to get scrapey clean? Did I want to get like a gentle maneuvering of stuff? Just see what your sitch is. So the other thing you're gonna need is you're gonna need a mat. This is a heat resistant anti-static mat that will protect the table and anything from burning. So that is really good. I would say it is important to have a clean workspace as well as one that's not going to give you danger. So why not protect your furniture? Another thing to consider is having ventilation. So either a window open, air purifier, and make sure that you are breathing safely and just like it doesn't smell the best. So, I mean, it's not horrible, but like you definitely would benefit from having some sort of ventilation. As an engineer and a producer and someone who works in the studio, it's kind of an essential skill to be able to troubleshoot where your problems are at. And a lot of the time, a culprit is a cable. So being able to solder and fix a cable is very actually important. That, along with being able to build gear for less, really be able to fix any gear in the future, and then eventually being able to start to understand what each component does in a system, how it colors the sound, and I'm by no means an expert on that. But in the third episode, we will be talking to an expert, which is really, really, really exciting. Yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. This is all the basics, so stay tuned for the next video. I'm actually filming it right after this one, and I will be going over a really fun project where I will build these mini speakers, which is a DIY kit, supposedly for children. Yeah, it should be interesting to see and try, and hopefully it maybe sounds okay, but more so it's just to get me practicing my soldering joints, so I feel really, really good and confident for tomorrow's build, which will be the starting of the microphone. I'm a little bit, I don't want to say I'm nervous, but I'm like, it's a big one. It's a full-blown microphone that I'm going to be like soldering by numbers. Like, I mean, it's not so hard. It's like supposedly just like Lego, and I've done it before. Just been a little while, a bit of a practice. So anyway, so stay tuned for the next video. It's going to be lots of fun. Thank you. Bye.